Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Reality Kingdom, where we talk all things reality TV. I am your host, Pharaoh, and I'm here with our wonderful Lily. How you doing?
I'm doing swell. I'm doing well. I do feel like this was a pretty good episode. I was told some very devastating news about one of my faves this episode, so I don't know how good it actually can be, but we are still here.
We're still
You know,
here.
Drea is out. Drea is out, and we're still living.
We're by thread, baby.
Yeah.
We're here by thread. Um, so as you see, we are going to be talking about Survivor 42, episode 1110? Question mark today. It's 11, but it's a 10 because they want to be weird. Episode 11 today.
Right.
So essentially, let's get into it. We start off. What do I say? So we started off, and they come back from tribal, and as they come back to tribal, they're kind of all happy because they just voted out High, and they all blindsided him together, and it was like, "Ooh, yay, we blindsided High" or whatever. And we specifically get a Mike confessional where Mike essentially is like, "Well, I blindsided High. I did that," and so he has a lot of he feels really good about himself for that. We know that that was Omar. Um, and he is the figurehead of that. He thinks it's him, very much so thinks. So he has that, I guess, point
Idea.
idea. So Romeo basically is like, I think that right now, if I let all the big players get each other out, that I can get to the end. I don't know about that. How are you gonna win? But that's what he thinks. And then Lindsay and Drea kind of have a segment. And so in this segment, essentially, Lindsay is like, well, me and Drea could have a still a vote. Well, we now have a still a vote because we just
Mhm.
voted out High. But if Drea goes, it could be an idol. Um, so we get a hint. Ooh, and I just thought about that. Lindsay has an idol. So we get a hint of that at the beginning of the episode. So right after that, we get a scene, and it's the five essentially. And so the five is Drea, Lindsay, Omar, Mike, and Jonathan. And it's a fake five. And Mike is like, the five of us are pretending to be a five so that we can blindside Drea. We're gonna tell Drea
Mhm.
that the vote is Romeo and that the five of us are gonna get to the end. But in reality, the vote is not Romeo. The vote is intended to be Drea. And it's really a four, I guess. Well,
Yeah.
intended to be Drea. So that happens. Drea kind of, we get a diary from Drea. She kind of is like, yeah, I love this five. I want to be with the competitors. And it's like, ooh, girl, they are not trying to be there with you as a competitor.
Mm-mm.
And then we get Mike talking to Omar and Mike talking to Lindsay. So Mike kind of individually starts pulling the people in the five to get apart and kind of reconfirming with them that Drea is the vote. And so when Mike talks to Omar, we hear Omar say, he's like, I mean, Mike kind of getting a little too much dip on his chip. You know, like, yes, the vote could be Drea, but you're doing a little much. Like, you think that you're the new High, like, you're kind of taking on this new role of, he's finna be the it girl. So it seemed like Omar's probably not finna let this happen for too long, but he's
Mhm.
gonna allow him to have his fun. You know what I'm saying?
And then what I love about Omar is that literally every episode, right, we get like the plan quotations, like what's gonna happen, and we get a whole event of it, and then the person whoever creates the plan, they go and talk to Omar, and Omar has a diary room, and he's just like, I don't think I want to do that this week. And usually it's not what happens that week. Now
Yes.
I don't know what happened. The one episode we
Mm.
needed you to stick with it, Omer.
You
But it's
wanna
fine.
not
It's
stick with it.
fine.
Yeah, it's funny how they organize it because they always organize it like the person creating the plan talks to a bunch of people, and then last they show the conversation with Omar, and then we get, okay, this is what's actually gonna happen, girl.
Because that's the real conversation.
'Cause that's the real conversation. So after this segment, we get a Jonathan segment, and it's just a whole minute of Jonathan. It's like, oh. So Jonathan is like, I'm 80 times bigger than all these other people, and I'm eating the same amount of them, so I'm finna die. So I guess he's getting irritable about this, and Drea and the other people were going to fish. So they went to go fish. Usually Jonathan's mainly fishing. So Jonathan finally decides to get up and try to help them. So they're asking him questions. Andrea asks him, "Hey, what exactly do I have to do to separate these?" And Jonathan's like, "Well, just separate them." Andrea's like, "Well, I mean, it would be nice if you could help." And Jonathan has a diary room. He's like, "It would be nice if I could help." As if I'm not the one who helps, as if I'm not the one who's always providing. It would be nice if I could be acknowledged as the provider. And so he kind of has like a series of diary rooms explaining that he is trying to be the provider so that he can get, I guess, credit for being the provider, so that he can get noticed like, oh, Jonathan was always providing. I think he thinks that that'll be good on his resume or whatever. And
my thing is, Jonathan, this is not Survivor 1 through seasons 1 through 10. You can't just be a provider, get to the end and win, sir. I understand that this is a new era, but it's not actually a new era. Like, this is not season 2, it's season 42, and you got to do a lot more than providing to get to the end. I can kind of see his frustration. He's frustrated. It seems like he did make a sacrifice, quotations, and I understand when people think they're doing something for other people, they would like to be acknowledged. However, you can't assume you doing something for other people means you're going to get that acknowledgement and that praise. You chose to eat less, so guess what? Now you're hungry about it. I don't know what else to tell you, sir. But like I said, being this provider, like I came here to be a provider, and the issue is, am I not being seen as one? No, sir, because we don't give a fuck about providing.
right. This is Survivor 42, like you said. I guess he thought since everybody was talking shit about Romeo not doing nothing, that equated to if I do a lot, I'm gonna get acknowledged. But that's not how that works. You can do the bare minimum and you will not be talked about. So just do the bare minimum.
Think back to the famous providers in Survivor history. Did Ty win? Did Ozzy win? Did Joe win? Did Rupert win?
Let's think, babe. You want to play it like maybe maybe like choose a different niche.
I don't know. Ask
Ozzy.
Ozzy tried 4 times being the provider and lost all 4, baby.
He lost all
4 times, babe. I don't think that's the strategy for you, babe.
Yeah, I don't think it's a strategy for anyone, babe. Maybe try playing the game. I don't know. So after this, Drea talks to Lindsay and is basically like, we can vote out Jonathan. And Lindsay's like, honestly, I want Jonathan to go, so we can vote out Jonathan. They talk to Mary and Romeo, and the 4 of them decide if the 4 of us vote out Jonathan, that's the 4 votes we need. It's 7 of us, 4 votes, that's enough. Boom. They decide they're voting out Jonathan unless he wins immunity. Whew. Then we get to immunity.
Which, preface going into it, as you watch Survivor over time, it was like, okay, so Jonathan is definitely winning immunity because everyone's talking up he's winning immunity, then Jonathan is fucking winning immunity. Like, that's just, like, sometimes, they'll show things and it won't mean what we think it means, but sometimes it's just,
most of the time, the edit
is very predictable.
The edit is predictable, and that's why I know some of the faves are not coming. So we get to the immunity challenge, and Jeff tells them that there is another dumb twist. No shade. That there is another twist called the do or die twist. The do or die twist is basically if you choose to play in the immunity challenge, and you are the first one out of the immunity challenge, you now have to play do or die. Do or die is if you win, you're safe and we vote. If you lose, you're the one going home tonight and there's no vote.
Now, personally, this is my first time seeing this twist because last season, unfortunately, I did stop watching as soon as Shan got eliminated. I hate to say it. So I didn't see Deshaun get this twist. My first digestion of this twist is that it is as dumb as every other twist that Jeff has done the last few seasons. So another twist I would like to never see again. I mean, it's like,
what was the point of it?
Play for safety and you might go home, Jeff. And then I'm thinking the do or die. Oh, it's going to be a challenge. It's a guessing game. So you could the immunity that is set up for you to have safety. If you play it and get out first, you can go home because of a guessing game.
Seems like you understand it.
I just want to know who the hell is getting paid in the boardroom for these twists, Because it is the dumbest. Like they love dangling safety in bitches' faces and taking it away, don't they?
In this new era, I guess that's the new era. Drop the 4, keep the 1.
Leave the
2,
safety.
leave the safety. Don't leave the safety. Drop the safety and snatch it back. Okay. So everyone chooses if they want to play or not. The only people who decide to play are Jonathan and Lindsay. Jonathan probably thinks he can win. Lindsay is like, I need to play because Jonathan's going to play. And if I play and I beat Jonathan, we can vote out Jonathan. We need to vote out Jonathan. I can be the hero. I don't think this was the smartest decision for Lindsay. And neither does Lindsay. She has a diary room. She's like, why the fuck did I do that? I really could have just sat there and minded my business. Because Lindsay put her game at risk. So Jonathan wins immunity. Lindsay loses. I will say it was a good battle. You can still see that Jonathan's not unbeatable, and he never has been. He's definitely beatable.
But
he's made it so far. Yeah, like
now he's in top 6, like kind of unbeaten. So it's like, because the only person who beat Jonathan was Tori. Tori left, and nobody been able to beat him ass since.
So now Jonathan and Lindsay play immunity. Jonathan wins, Lindsay loses. So now Lindsay has the do or die twist, which means at tribal she has to play the guessing game, and if she guesses right, she's safe. If she doesn't, she loses. Okay. We go back from immunity, and they still have to try to figure out who's going to be the vote because Jonathan is now safe. So that's when Mike initiates it's going to be Drea. So Mike initiates that it's going to be Drea, and he goes around telling everyone kind of individually, and everyone's kind of like, okay, it got to be Drea. Like, Drea has played many advantages. She's a strong player in this game. She's been in the majority of the vote a lot of the time. Everyone knows that Drea's a threat, and she's a good player. So everyone just agrees that it should be Drea. Then we get to Mike telling Omar. Once again, there's always the same path. He tells everybody, and then Omar comes. He tells Omar, and Omar's like, I mean, we can vote Drea, or maybe we can vote Mike since he want to be the baddest bitch in the house. Julie, what's good? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's thinking, maybe we can vote Mike. I don't know. But he's kind of, you can tell he's kind of like, I think I'm okay with Drea. Drea is a threat. And then we leave it there. So we kind of leave it with, okay, it looks like everyone just agrees they're going to vote Drea. What could save her? I don't know. So then Drea's like, she's very intuitive. She's like, they're voting me. Because the way people are acting, the way people are moving, the way they're talking around camp, it seems like I'm probably going to be the vote. It seems very fishy. So she decides to tell Omar, because she trusts Omar and everyone trusts Omar. She decides to tell Omar, hey, I have the knowledge is power advantage. I mean, it's interesting because it's called the knowledge is power advantage.
And this is the second time that someone with the knowledge is power advantage has given someone else the knowledge is power advantage, essentially taking away the point of having knowledge is power advantage.
Mm-hmm. So she gives Omar the knowledge, and now Omar has power.
The power.
Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. So
that's literally what happens.
So now Omar, it's now up to Omar, and that's the thing. That's why this power is so, like, it's really simple, but whoever has the knowledge has the power. So at first, Drea had the power. When she gave Omar the knowledge, Omar now has the power. So it's funny because Omar didn't necessarily think of this himself. He was like, okay, so Drea, you're going to steal Mike's idol, and then we're going to vote out Mike. That's initially kind of what Omar thinks. Then he talks to Lindsay, and this is how I know Lindsay's a smart bitch, because this is the third time Lindsay has talked to someone about strategy, and she has thought it way, like, one step further than them, because Omar's telling her, yeah, okay, so Drea's going to do this, and this is what we're going to do. And Lindsay's like, or, I mean, can we still vote out Drea and just take Mike's idol? And so it's funny because Lindsay thinks of it, but she doesn't take Mike's idol. Omar does. Omar's like, Lindsay thought of this idea, but if Mike gives me the idol, now I have the choice to vote out Mike and have an idol, or vote out Drea. She wasted her advantage, and she's out, and I made a big move, and I have Mike's idol. I could do whatever the fuck I want. So now Omar has all the knowledge, And he basically this tribal is Omar deciding which powerful direction he's gonna take. He could take either direction, and I don't necessarily know what's the best for him. Like when he's talking about it, I couldn't within the time span of that and the end, I couldn't decide what was the better move.
Because it's like whether you look at it, you're keeping a target in the game who could potentially beat you. So
either way, it's kind of like lose, win, lose, whatever you want to look at it. So that happens, and it kind of ends on that. So we're left off with either Omar can decide to take out Drea or Omar can decide to take out Mike. We go to tribal, and during the tribal, Drea kind of is like clocking them. She's like, yeah, I mean, I look when people go get wood and they don't come back with any wood, and they go to get water and the water can is empty. So it's kind of like, okay, Drea. So she's having her tribal, blah, 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 blah. Then we get to Lindsay playing her thing. Lindsay plays her thing. She wins. I'm not going to get into that. No, I do want to get into it because it's interesting because, you know, if you're a math person, you know that during this game, there's three boxes. You can choose a box, and then Jeff asks you, do you want to switch your box? The math of this is that you should always switch your box because the percentage of you getting the new one is better if you switch it. And that's why High and all the people on the jury were like, she should switch, she should always switch, she should switch. Because that's the math.
I don't understand that logic though.
Okay, this is it. When there's three of them, there's a 33% chance you can click the correct one, right? So because he reveals one, if he didn't reveal it, it wouldn't be right logic. Since he revealed it, now there's only two. So now if you switch it, your chances are now 50% instead of 33. So now your chances go up. I don't know, it's math, it's hard. But technically, if she would have switched it, 50% chance instead of a 33% chance. Because
so essentially, you're saying because she chose one box while it was still three, even though one is taken out, she still chose that one with a 32% chance. Exactly. Now she has a 50% chance she should try again.
Exactly. So technically the math, you should switch it. But neither Deshawn nor her switched it, and they both stayed. So clearly, who cares about math?
And both Liana and Drea told people about their advantages and got voted out. So clearly, life has a lot of lessons.
Oh, God. So, whatever. Here go Drea. Jeff, it's giving very much so flashbacks. It's always a black woman with braids. Like, damn.
I was literally having PTSD. Because I knew as soon as she asked him, he didn't have it. I was like, not this again. I saw, as soon as they dropped the preview of this episode, I said, Omar is going to screw her over. Because, I mean, history repeats itself. I hate to hear.
Of course he's going to screw you over. Of course. So anyway, he doesn't have it. Omar has it. So she did all that, and then she got voted out. Bye. Drea's out. Anything you want to say?
Drea girl. I guess I get into it on the rating. But Drea girl.
On the rating. Yeah, girl.
Liana girl.
All right. Here are the ratings. So, to start it off, we're going to have to talk about Drea. So, you can say what you was going to say. Because as an overall...
Drea, that was just really, really, really bad. Like, I don't understand what decision that was. It's like, my thing is, I'm not shocked when Liana made the move that she did because I never thought Liana was... I didn't think she had the ability to necessarily use that correctly, honestly and truly, because I do think Liana needed a little bit more time to get older and experience, you know, being around people so she can make a decision like that. Like a big move like that, I think requires, you know, some, you know, reflection in life. I think Liana was way too young. But Miss Drea, baby,
you're way too old.
I do not know the knowledge behind telling Omar, but they didn't give you no powers, mama. None. Okay. Like the simple thing to do was just steal Mike's item while he was not looking. And she should have used it on her damn self because clearly they was gonna buff her out. And the thing is, she had great intuition because she knew that they were voting her. She at least had an inkling that they were. But obviously she thought she had Omar. Well, the gag was even if you did have Omar, you still would have went home, babe.
Yeah.
Because it would have been what you said. What did you say? It would have been 5-3, 4-3?
4 to 5. But that's the thing. If she had Omar, she would have had the other votes, and the other votes would have stayed because Omar run the vote. If she would have had Marianne, either way, it would have been 5 to 4 if she could flip one person. She needed to actually have the votes, and she didn't actually have the votes.
So either way, I was really disappointed in her and what she did this episode. But in general, I don't think she is a bad player. I do feel like she's someone that has potential to win this game if she were to come back. I do think this is probably like, I don't know, like if she is to come back again, I think this is what she needed to happen because I do feel like she needs to be more cutthroat. I think she trusted the people she was around a little bit too much, which caused her to get too comfortable. I think that's why she was so willing to drop Romeo. That's why she was so willing to let Tori go. Rox got eliminated, and she didn't, I feel like, shift her game strategically at all. After that, I think she kind of just felt, well, I'm here with the people that I trust. And that wasn't the case because, like I said, the mistake for all of them here was letting Omar, keep his people and get to the end. And now she's fucked because of that. I think overall, because this is an overall ranking, so this is her as a player, I think in the next season, I want to give her a 6. I think she is definitely not one of the worst players I've seen out here. And like I said, I think if she has the chance to play again, she could really, really do good. She just, I feel like if she comes back out, she needs to definitely just be a bit more aware of her numbers because she was way too quick to give up her allies. And that, I think, was her downfall.
I agree. Yeah, I think, I agree. I just think she's a smart player, and clearly she's social. Clearly, she felt like I didn't need to keep my numbers because I got new numbers, and she kind of did, but she kind of didn't, bitch. I will say, technically, the vote would have probably been Jonathan if he didn't win immunity, so she could have made top 6. So that's good. If she played her advantage right, that would have been good. But she made a few mistakes, and it's clear that she's not at her peak or at the best she could be. She played very well, I think, but I think she was just real, like you said, like she didn't switch her game up the way she needed to, and she wasn't cutthroat enough. She wasn't like going hard enough. That's the thing. I think this season has a lot of good players, but not a lot of like Shans and Ricard, the ones who were like really like fuck y'all, like they were out there playing hard. Drea was really being like a little bit subtle, and it's like, girl, pick up the pace. And I think she thought she did, but she gave the knowledge of power advantage away, or whatever. I'm gonna give her a 6.5 though. That's pretty good. Boom. Now let's get into the people in the game. Jonathan, like last week, I don't think much of Jonathan. I do think that he has a better chance at winning the game. I think since he's in top 6 and he can win immunities, the only person who could really, really beat him is like Lindsay, unless they throw a puzzle, which they might. Which they might. So I don't necessarily think he's gonna win out. I also don't think Jonathan has the capability to necessarily win the game. I don't think people think he is playing the best game at all. When I look at the jury, I don't think none of these people are gonna think, yeah, Jonathan's playing the best game. They're just gonna think, oh, he won the comps and that's it. So I don't think he has a chance to win. I don't think he's necessarily that strategic. He didn't do anything strategic this round. He was in a bunch of plans that Mike created. Mike is like the more strategic version person in this situation. He just doesn't have anything going for him. I gave him 3.5 last week. The only reason I want to bring him up is because it's top 6 now, so his chances just went up, Am I even gonna do that? I'll give him a 4.
I think I'm also going to keep at a 4 with Jonathan. I think one of the things that really made me feel confident with keeping him that low is the talk about being the provider. Getting to final 3, especially with a cast like this, talking about providing for people is not going to get you $1 million, babe. It's just not. At this point, He's tried to be that strategic force and have not worked out for him. Lindsay been on his head for the last 3 tribals. The minute he does not win an immunity, he's out. I think his saving grace is that he could potentially win out, but I don't think he's going to get any respect for that. I could be wrong, and I'll definitely, take my words back if he does. But at the end of the day, as a player, he can be no higher than a 5, even if he wins this game, because I do not think he has the strategic mindset to really go far. He's been a follower for Mike and or Lindsay and or Omar since Jury started. The one thing that he wanted to do on his own was get Drea out, and it didn't even happen until Mike wanted Drea out, which I think is very telling. So, I mean, it's got to be a 4 for me. At this point, he's just there. He's just there to there. Like, it's giving GOAT. It reminds me a lot of Xander last year. Like, pre-new era, I do feel like a Xander and a Jonathan could have probably won this game, but it doesn't seem like with the type of players they've been casting as of recently that they're even going to get a chance to be respected for the type of gameplay that they're playing, because it's way too... I mean, is it the game?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. How you feel about Lindsay? Queen.
I do like Lindsay. I feel like her score definitely just keeps going up and up and up. I want to give her a 7.5 this week. I don't think she's going to be a target going forward, honestly, which is great in top 6. I think everyone here going to be a target. And then also she has an idol now, which is very powerful in top 6. If she makes it one more round, then she's automatically safe in top 5, where in a spot where Marianne may have her idol, Mike has his idol. She could be in big danger. So her getting this idol is very strong for her. I think she's a great speaker. She has great relationships. And I think she is someone that could get respect at the end of the game. I do think her one Achilles heel still is Omar. And also now Mike. I mean, she still wants to get Jonathan out. Mm-hmm. Is Jonathan the most of your concern? I don't think so. But I think she's a strong player. She's a strong social player. I think she is definitely up there with Mike and Omar. I just don't know if she can necessarily, actually get the votes. I feel confident if Mike gets to the end, he can get the votes. I do believe Omar gets to the end, I think he can get the votes. I'm not sure about Lindsay because her game has been a bit subtle, but I do think she's improving. If she can, I do put her name on these next few evictions, I think she can easily win the game. So it's going to be a 7.5.
Yeah, I actually agree with everything you said. I think she's just coming up and up and up. Like you said, as you said, she could win the game, but she needs to get out Omar. She really probably needs to get out Mike too. Her focus on Jonathan is probably going to be the reason she loses the game. I could see her making it 2 rounds, and then when it comes to 4th place, her getting 4th place if she doesn't do the right thing. If she makes it to the end, though, she does have things she can say. She has an argument. So I don't think it's down and out for her. I also think she's clearly strategic. She clearly knows the game, but there's just, I don't know, it's just hard because Mike's doing so well and Omar's doing so well. So at this point, who you gonna go to the end with, babe? If you want Jonathan to go. So that's why it's kind of hard to go high on her, but I do think she's a really good player. She kind of made a hiccup this round. She could have went home. That's the gag. We could be talking about her as an overall player. But she didn't go home. So I'm gonna keep it at 7.5. I'm gonna put it. My girl Marianne, I know that's right. So Marianne was not really here this episode that much, but I do think Marianne's position is not that bad because going into this next round, Lindsay's targeting Jonathan. As we see in the preview, Mike and Omar are probably going to be targeting each other, and Romeo's just there, and he's not going to win. So if Marianne can make it to the end and she can sell a story, that could be really, really good, especially if she can get her name on one of these next couple of moves. She also does have an idol, so that's really good too because whether it's this round or next round that she plays it, she can easily make it to the top 4, easily make it to the final 3. So it looks really, really good for Marianne. She has a story, she has an argument, and she can make it to the end. She's clearly a smart player. She's not dumb. She's not a dud. So she's not just going to sit there and let them run her. As we see in the preview, she's like, I'm not just your puppet. I'm not going to just be a puppet to you. And that's really, really good. So honestly, I'm going to keep her at the 8. Her.
Mm-hmm. So I think I'm going to keep Marianne at the 6 because I do feel like there were just a few things. Like I said, I'm not fully confident in her game yet. Next round, I do see that there is a potential for her to really step up as a player. Like she said, like she's not just your GOAT. But I think the issue is that she is potentially seen as a GOAT for the simple fact that clearly this big group. I know they were lying to save face for Drea, but I can't help but think that is kind of the narrative on the camp that Marianne and Romeo are the people we can just take to the end, the people who haven't been doing anything. My
Mhm.
fear is just that after this episode, that because I don't think Drea was going. I don't think Drea going home was good for her at all. I don't.
Mhm.
Um, I think Lindsay, Jonathan, Omar are people who want to go to the end with her, but I do think she almost definitely beats them. I think they almost definitely beat her, except Jonathan. But I don't think she can win against Lindsay and Omar, or maybe even Mike at this point. I don't know. I just feel like I'm really scared for Marianne, but I think
Mhm.
there's still a path for her. Um, and overall, she's clearly a very good social player because her name has not been coming up at all. Even Romeo's name has come up, and he's on the out. So clearly, it's not because they wanted to flip on each other. Like, she could have easily been a target as well as Romeo potentially was as well.
Mhm.
So I want to keep her at the 6, but I want to see her be able to grow past what we've seen so far. Because if we don't see that, then I don't know, the potential of her winning could kind of slip away.
I see. How you feel about Mike?
So I feel like we've been getting a lot of positive about Mike again recently. I feel
Mhm.
like it definitely went down a bit and it's now picked back up. So I do want to give him a 6.5. I'm not fully solidified on Mike yet because it is very clear that people are targeting him. The good thing about him is that he has his idol. I think he has the respect from the jury. Drea leaving and saying, Mike, if you make it to the end, I'm voting for you is a very good thing. I think he just has to get there. At this point, he's here with 4 Taku strong. I think anyone here could quickly choose someone else over him, except maybe Jonathan. And he did work on that relationship. So if that's the relationship that gets him to the end, I think kudos to him. I just think, like I said, at this point, he definitely has to get there. There is no one here as of now that he has control over that I can say, well, next round he can get this person, and they're gonna do this. He could very easily be the next target. Um, and I just feel like that would be in his own due to his own fault, kind of like Drea and High. Uh their biggest issue, and I'll keep saying it, was letting Omar get his Taku 4 to the end like this. This isn't good. I mean, look at the game board. You know what I mean? 4
Mhm.
orange, 1 green, and 1 blue. Like, I don't think that's necessarily good for him. But the positive thing is that he could potentially win. I think these next few of eliminations are going to be big humps for him, though. And if he is able to make it past that, then he'll deserve to win. I think now he really deserves to win, honestly, as people
Mhm.
here. But if he make it past those humps, then I think he definitely solidifies himself as a great player.
Yes. One of my biggest, like, concerns my biggest concern, my really biggest concern was that Mike wasn't gonna be respected by the jury because High leaving, High thought he ran Mike. You know, a lot of people who went home thought right Mike was like a GOAT, and he was the one being controlled by other people. I do think that perception is now gone, especially because of what Drea said at the tribal, kinda how he's still here. He clearly was gonna be targeted. Like Drea just tried to use her power on him, and he was like, "Don't have it." That looks really really good for him. It makes Mike now look like a very very feasible winner. So I do think if he
Exactly.
makes it to the end, he could easily win the game. But I don't. Him making it to the end is what's hard because he is going to be a target. Everyone now knows that he needs to go. You know, Dre kind of painted a target on him also. But it's only what 3 rounds. He only has to survive 3 rounds, and he has an idol, so he could do it. He can make it to the end. He can win the game. So it's just tricky. Like you said, the only person he might have is Jonathan. But if someone like Omar or Lindsay even are smart enough to turn Jonathan against him, I can't say that that's not possible because we haven't seen anything like that. So it's still scary. But I think I'm gonna give him a 6.5 too. He's up there. Sure. Now Omar, I gave Omar a 10 last week. I think last week he deserved a 10. This week, I don't know because honestly, I don't think the move was necessarily bad. I do think Drea was a very out of everyone left, I think other than Omar, Drea was the most likely person to win a jury vote in the final 3. So I do think that she was his competition. She did have an amulet and she did have that powerful advantage. If she did get the idol from Mike, there was gonna be no stopping Drea because she would have been in a top 6 with an idol and a still a vote. And if Lindsay goes, that's 2 idols in top 6. So that's not good. So I will say that it kind of was smart for Drea to go. But I'm just not sure because we see Mike talking about he wants to target Omar, but then again, it's only 6 people left. Somebody got to be targeted. So it's iffy. I don't think Omar will go next because even if Mike wants to target Omar, I don't think Jonathan. I think Jonathan will target Lindsay before Omar, Romeo before Omar, and Marianne before Omar. Same with Lindsay. I think Lindsay will target everyone before Omar because what we've seen so far, the only person who's ever said Omar's name is Mike, and I can't necessarily trust that Mike is going to be able to get all these people or at least 3 people to vote Omar when Omar has been running these people. Let's be honest. He clearly has probably the best relationship with Marianne, Lindsay, Jonathan, and damn near Romeo. You know, he has very good relationships with them, so it's hard for me to say that he'll go. But it's getting down in numbers. His chances are winning are looking less, I feel, strong than they were last week. Last week he was like the clear front runner. Now Lindsay has a lot on her plate now. You know, Mike has a lot on his belt now. So it's like, Omar, are you just gonna win? Like, I don't know.
Exactly.
You still have to do some stuff, babe. All of his moves has been under the radar. I do think he can try to steal this Drea move. Um, if Mike's not in final three, but if Mike's in final three too, it's gonna be hard. So I'm gonna give Omar a 9.
Mhm. I do feel like I feel slightly less on Omar this week. Definitely not a big less, but I do feel like every
Mhm.
single week I feel like I've seen a near perfect game for Omar, which is why I want to give him the 9 and up. But this week,
Mhm.
child, I think I'm gonna go to an 8.5. Now hear
Uh,
me out, hear me out. Because I feel like we've definitely been in the world of Omar's gonna win this game, Omar's gonna win this game, Omar's gonna win this game. And I just feel like we've been seeing so many positive, and this is the first time that we're definitely going to see a backlash to some of his actions. In the next episode, we're
mhm.
seeing Mike say, "We got to get out Omar," which is not good for him.
Mhm.
I don't know if Mike staying is best for him because we do know that Mike gave Omar his idol before he went into tribal. Now,
Mhm.
I do think the move for Omar would have been go ahead and flush Dre's advantage
Mhm.
and vote Mike out with his idol.
Yeah.
However, Mike has proven to be a very bitter player, so he probably would have been a bitter juror member if that
Mhm.
had happened. There were a lot of camaraderie once Drea got voted out, but if it had happened in that fashion that we're explaining, and Omar was and he was still the person that was known to do it, it could have been bad for him. So I don't know. And then also he got his idol, but he has to give the idol right back to him. And now
Yeah.
there's no ability to take away from him anymore because Drea is out, and so it's her advantage. And now
Mhm.
you're in top 6. When Mike has an idol, Marianne has an idol, now Lindsay has an idol. If all 3 of them people go to the top 5 and he's in top 5, Sister could get serene if he don't win individual immunity. So I
Right.
just feel like it's getting iffy for
It's getting
Omar. It really is. I do think he'll be able to rebound. My thing is, I just feel like I can't go with the 9 this week because we've definitely seen better play for him, and I feel like this is the first time we've seen some mistakes. And also, I want to mention, and I don't know how much this is actually going to affect the game, but like I said, I was under the impression that anyone sitting next to Omar could potentially win. And I
Mhm.
think Drea's little leaving the tribal speech, who
Mhm.
I don't know if she's bitter at Omar, but I also peeped. She said something nice about everyone except Omar. The only thing she said about Omar was that basically he screwed me.
Mhm.
Um, and she also said that Mike, if you're sitting in the end, you'll win. I know that could be just a thing she says to get a target on him,
Mhm.
but at the same time, usually when people say that, they want to stick to that. She
Yeah.
said it, so if he gets to the end, she's gonna want to do it. So I'm,
Mhm.
I'm I'm starting to see maybe Omar can't just win for winning because also too we have to realize his moves have been so under the radar. Like Pharaoh started saying when we opened the podcast, Mike think getting out high was his move. How I think
Mhm.
getting out Roxwell was his move.
Mhm.
So it's like no one's saying, "Oh, Omar's the one who did this." The only thought we have about Omar so far going into jury is that Drea thinks that he screwed her over, and we don't know
Mhm.
how she feels about that. So I'm just scared for Miss Omer, but we gonna see.
We gonna see. You made a lot of good points. Romeo, he's the last one. Last but least.
Romeo, I'm gonna stick with that 3 with Miss Romeo. Romeo, I just feel like we haven't seen anything. I'm not gonna give a a point for him having the conversation with Marianne about them being at the bottom. They gave us a cute little confessional from him. I don't know if that'll mean anything about him potentially being a finalist or something like that. If he does win, it will be a great underdog story. I do want to preface it by saying I don't think he actually is a 3 player. I just don't think we're getting anything but 3 work. You know what I mean?
No, literally.
It doesn't seem like he's building any connections, flipping anything in his favor. And it doesn't seem like he's going to have the respect from the jury. He also has no power or anything to help him out. I mean, Marianne has the idol. We've seen that he has a relationship with Marianne, and that's really good because at least, you know, he has something, but we don't know if Marianne's going to use that for him. We don't know if it's even going to work. So I do want to keep him at that 3.
Yeah, I don't think it looks good for Romeo at all. I feel like he can't even win even if he makes it to the final 3. Unless he is a really good storyteller. I do think he has a way. I think he could articulate his game, but it might. I don't think it's gonna be easy for him to win at all. He doesn't have any agency or any he doesn't have much. He doesn't have much at all. He's just slithering by. And I remember saying, like, I do think of the underdogs, Romeo's the one who could slither on, and he has been slithering on. I don't think he's a bad player because I do think him sliding by on all these weeks proves that he is doing something, and he's in the diary room saying, like, I know that I need to slide by. So the way for me to slide by is to shut the fuck up and let them take each other out. So you know, he's aware, but awareness ain't giving you nothing. So it's gonna be a 3. I don't take everything away. So it's gonna be a 3. And that's that.
That's that on that. You know. We love a top 6.
Alrighty. Why the pictures in it? Oh, it did. I was getting
I was
scared.
gonna say what?
Alrighty. Omar still at the King of Teams. Lizzie, look, it's looking the same. I fear it looks the same as last week, except Drea went home. So
Literally.
it's the same as last week, except Drea went home, and there you go. I do feel like
And she still got the same score from last week.
she got the same score. So I do feel like this is a good top 6. The game, like, I feel like the gameplay is good. Just on screen, it transfers. I feel a little boring. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like it's great gameplay. They're playing really, really good. Like, none of these rounds have been bad gameplay. It's even been like a little bit, you know, it hasn't been that straightforward. Rochefort wasn't supposed to go home. You know, Hyde didn't even know he was going home. Drea may not have went home. It could have been Jonathan.
I think what's boring. I think what's boring is that first of all, the first 3 were people outside of the alliance. I mean, Roxford was in it, but Roxford going home wasn't so big. Ooh, you know what I mean? Hyde and Drea were the last 2 blindsides, and it was kind of like basically
everyone
what we see in this entire merge is that the big players have been working together, and then once they decide that one of them needs to go, they'll all link up and get that person out. That's what's kind of been happening. I think that does cause boring gameplay because basically all the good players are like, well, you know, we're gonna work together so we don't target each other, basically. Because if we would have had Lindsay, Jonathan, Mike, Omar, Drea, Hyde all targeting each other at the beginning of merge, then I think it'll probably be way more dynamic. But they've been trying to choose. I feel like they're going more for the safer route, than being as chaotic.
It's funny because I feel like every boring type season of, like, even these shows, it's really because one person is running the season, and it's interesting that Omar is getting edited that way because, you know, when you think of boring Big Brother season, you think of 16 when Derek is just running it and he wins. And then you think of in Survivor when Rob just ran Redemption Island and he won. It's kind of like, this is just what's happening. It's different because these are actual good players. No shade to those casts, but these are actually good players. But Omar is still, I feel like, playing a league above them a little bit. And if Omar wins and we look back on this season, we're just gonna think Omar just ran the season, and that was it. You know, and it's funny watching it play out and kind of like, you know, having a little bit of awareness about it because essentially that's what's happening. Like, yeah, like he basically was like, well, let's all just stay together. Let's not vote out any Taku accidentally. And Blue, it's funny because like all the outsiders who got voted out are gone except for Marianne, who was Omar. It's like Omar's running the shit, honestly.
Yeah.
There you go. Let me look at these drafts. I'm doing better.
By default, you know.
Where we at? Because By default. No, because I it was 2 versus like 7. When Rockstar and Tori were still here, I only had 2 people. Oh no, it wasn't how I went. But no, it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle for me. So it just feels good to have 2 in the top 6 because if one of yours go next round, that's 2 in the top 5. I don't know. I will say Omar still probably could win. He hasn't gotten anything negative in the edit. When we talk about the edit, we can talk about the edit a little bit. When we talk about the edit, usually the winner gets a lot of diary rooms and they get a lot of input on the game and they don't necessarily get anything negative. And I do feel like Omar still gets that. So according to the edit, it does seem like Omar can win. But as you know, last season the edit was a little different because Miss Erica was nowhere to be found. It's like according to last season, Lindsay probably wins. And honestly, I can see Lindsay win. Lindsay has.
I can see anyone here winning except Jonathan and Romeo.
Me too. Same. Same. I think I agree. Honestly, because everyone has a story. Jonathan and Romeo are kind of like, I don't think Jonathan and Romeo are gonna win.
I'm just so happy to see Marianne still here because how many people would have thought that Marianne would still be here in top 6? Put some
Not
respect
me.
on my bitch's name.
Not me. I was not here for it. When you picked her in your draft, I was like, oh, strong pick. It was giving Betty.
Yeah.
Like, it was giving Betty.
And look at where Betty's at.
3rd place, which Marianne might get.
Top
honestly.
3. Top 3. I don't care.
And not top 3. Marianne can win this season, though. Marianne can really win.
She's going to.
Okay, I know that's right. And that's that. So that's that on that. Be sure to check us out next week when we talk about the next episode on the final 6 or whatever. Is it the finale? No, that's the week after. Or whatever. Make sure you check out our other podcast. We're going to be covering the challenge. X on the Beat.
The circle.
That's it.
Our off-season podcast.
And check us out for our off-season Big Brother podcast. We will be starting to do that because Big Brother Canada just ended. Go check out our last BB Canada video. It was a wonderful video or whatever. And thank you all for watching. Period. Bye.